Oh, bloody hell. Oh my God, did I get that on camera? It's still got a redness to it, hasn't it? Look at that, you can eat your dinner off that. This here is the magnet. There's nothing untoward there. And there shouldn't be any oil that comes out of this. If there is, then it's time to change the seal. You have to get right in there and push, and you'll feel it go in. There's a little key with the correct one. It can only go one way, and you know you got it because all the pins come through. You can just about see them. If you put that in first, then you know where you are, and then just push it home. So straight away, look, we've gone up to 18 degrees now. The gear changes, all I can say is, they're like butter. Let's move on, 'cause it's time to move on. Right, gearbox servicing in the street edition. So in a recent video, I serviced the oil, and I mentioned how I use the street to my advantage. It's on a slight incline, which means I can actually get the car to sit fairly level, but at the same time get it on ramps. So you can see the car, it actually sits slightly downhill. But by the time it goes on these ramps, it's not too far off the horizontal. I'm going to put these pieces of wood about here so that I can get another couple of inches at the back, because my car sits quite low and otherwise I can't get underneath it. It'll all make sense in a minute. So as soon as I get near the top, it's those other bits of wood underneath the rear wheels to just give it that little bit of extra height. Foot brake on. That looks all right, doesn't it? So if you look here now, it's actually sitting quite horizontally, despite the fact that the front is sitting on ramps. What that's going to allow me to do is when I drain the automatic gearbox sump, it's not all going to go to the back of the tray, it's just going to hopefully keep level. Under the car. Right, so the gearbox sump, as you can see why I raised the car just a little bit higher, is right here. So that's my office for the next hour, I would think. Happy days. Fortunately, I took all these covers off only about 2 weeks ago when I changed the engine oil, so it's not going to give me any problems. One little tip for you, suggest drilling 2 little holes underneath, and it just allows the water to drain. And actually it's a really good idea to do it for the oil sump guard as well, because that can fill with oil or water and could rust the gearbox sump. You'll see that in a second. I've actually kind of painted it roughly. But the second thing is, if you've got an oil leak, then it will sit in there and you don't know you've got an oil leak. So I actually prefer to see the oil, if I was going to have a problem, come out the bottom of the car, and then I know I've got to do something about it. Oh dear, it's tight down here. There's 2 more at the back. So just where the guard would sit here, I drilled 2 holes on the underguard. There's 1 and there's 2. And what that does is just allows any oil or moisture to then drain down. Little tip for you. So here's the sump. This actually was pretty damn rusty on the outside. I'm going to give it a nice coat of paint when I take it off, give it clean. Right, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this little bracket out of the way. And then there's one at the back. I was just about to take the filter and start doing the work off my Mercedes, and I realised that the oil that I ordered, which I actually ordered on Amazon, I hadn't pressed send, and therefore I would have been draining all the oil out my gearbox, only to find that I had nothing to fill the car back up with. But I'm just going to put this out there, is that I never thought of actually contacting Mercedes directly. Their prices are really good. It was actually near enough the same price as what it was on Amazon. So there's a little tip for you. Try Mercedes, they're not bad. Nothing but the best for my Mercedes. Mercedes-Benz gearbox oil. This was 5 litres. It was cheaper than buying the individual 4 litres. And including the VAT, which we have in the UK, it came to about 65 quid. So I think that's all right. Right, enough talk. Let's get the gearbox oil changed. This little cross bracket here is just held on by 2 8mm nuts there, but you need a little deep socket just to get in there so you can clear the thread. Comes off nice and easy, that. Now there's a bracket at the back there we've got to have a look at. I wonder if you need to remove that. I wonder if I can just undo it without having to remove it. By the looks of it, it looks like there's a couple of 13mm bolts there to undo. Yeah, 13mm. It's funny how you get good at reading bolts. I probably could actually leave this bracket in place, but for the sake of 2 bolts, I might as well just remove it. I'm feeling the torque that I took off it. It's only about 25 Newton meters, it's not very much. Okay, is the sump all cleared? There's obviously the drain plug. I just need to undo these 6 little star fixings. And remember that some of them have got a little clamp bracket on. Now these, I think, are very low torque on them. I think there's only about 8 Newton meters. So I'll let you know a little secret. This car has got 180,000+ miles on it. I've never had any issues with the gearbox. It's been tip-top. In fact, generally all the Mercedes I've owned, the automatic boxes are bulletproof. Now it's supposed to be a gearbox seal for life, so they say, but we all know that's not completely true. And it's supposed to, therefore, you're meant to change the oil every 40 to 60,000 miles, which means I'm well overdue on the service of changing this oil. I'd be really interested to see what the condition of this is like. As I said, I've got no issues with my gearbox. It changes gear perfectly. It's the AMG Speed Shift gearbox. It was a little added bonus when I bought this car. It came from stock from manufacturer. So let's see, it's 120,000 miles overdue. What is the oil going to look like? And if it has been changed at all. Otherwise, it's been in there since birth, which is 180,000 miles. Right, let's have a look. Maybe if you subscribe, I might get enough money to buy a pack of beers. It all helps, by the way, and I thank you if you have subscribed. Makes it all worthwhile being under a car upside down covered in oil. So the spec on these bolts aren't very much, they're about 8 Newton meters, and just make sure you get the right torque star bit. So I'm hoping, even though I've got a tiny little 1/4 inch here, it's enough, because I don't think they're on there very tight. Oh, there we go. Nice, there's one. Right, let's get all the other 6 off. Oof. Oh, I can feel the oil dripping. Oh no, 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 no. Okay, that's the last one cracked off. I just heard it then release. Oh, and there's oil coming out. There's oil coming out. That's good. Right, let's crack. Let's just nip them back up again. Now I know they're loose. That's the main thing. Right, now I need to undo that sump plug. And I'm going to go and get my drip tray ready. What I want to make sure I do is make sure I see how much oil comes out, because I've got to know how much to put back in again. You also have to check the temperature when you do it as well, but we'll come to that in a second. So before I do anything with the sump plug, I'm just going to make sure I get rid of this little other bolt here, because it holds on this bracket. Okay, importantly, now we've got to get exactly the right Allen key for that sump plug. Right, let's get ready to rumble. I've got my cloth here, I've got my little drain bucket, my oil bucket, and I'm hoping I'm going to get this bad boy off. And this hasn't been taken off for God knows how long. As I said, make sure you get it all the way in there home, don't muck about and get a sloppy fit. Oh bloody hell, that is tight. I'm going to snap something. Right, I'm going to go and get a bigger socket. Right, I'm back with a bigger socket. Make sure it's all the way home. Wish me luck. Oh bloody hell. Oh my God. Did I get that on camera? Jesus. Right, well, it's loose, but yeah, that's some amount of torque on that. I'm going to check the spec and see what it is when I put it back on again. Right, well, at least she's loose. Okay, now let's drain this puppy. Right, let's see the colour of this oil. I wonder if that has been taken off in 21 years. There's a little bit of rust between the bolt. Oh, there she goes. And the case there. Do you know what? Considering how long that's been in there, I can still see through it just about with my glove. I know it should be red, I know, but I mean, come on. 180,000 miles? Ain't bad, ain't bad. God, that looks really good. Look at this, if I can get my torch behind it. It's still got a redness to it, hasn't it? It's still got a redness to it. To be fair, there wasn't a huge amount that came out of that. I would say at the most about a litre. So I think my gearbox definitely needed some more oil than that. So I'm glad I got the 5 litres, because it's probably needing extra in there. I'm going to leave that for 5 minutes now, and then we'll undo the rest of these bolts properly and drop the whole sump guard down. So I get a real buzz and helping people out, and then that's the whole reason I do this channel. And if you want to show your appreciation, and if I've helped you in any way today, I've got a Groove On wish list on Amazon. You might want to buy me an air freshener or maybe a set of spanners or something, and it will get sent to me. It's like Christmas comes early for me, and I'll give you a shout out on my next video. Also, I've got a Groove On merch shop. Hoodies, different styles of t-shirts, bags, hats, coffee cups, drinking mugs, loads of stuff on there. The link is just below if you want to go buy some merchandise. And lastly, if you want to become a Groove On member, there's a member link for you in the description. So welcome back. It's now fully drained, well, just about. I'm going to put the sump plug back in, and then I'm going to remove the whole of the gearbox sump itself off the car, and let's see if we can then carry on doing the full service. And I'm going to change the filter inside it and everything else as well. I'll tell you what, this gearbox oil is lovely and slippy, so that's a good sign. Now let's undo these 6 bolts all the way around the edge. I'll just move my little tray slightly. Now as I am slightly downhill, so this is lower than the back. I'm going to undo this slightly more, but not all the way, so I want the bolts to kind of lean this way so it doesn't run off the back of the sump guard. So I'm going to go all the way out. There's one. God, these bolts look fantastic, as if they've just been in there brand new. Right, and I'll undo this one here as well. A couple of turns in there, and I'll carry on going. Some people I've seen, actually, there's brackets on the corners of the sump. I think it depends on the size of the or the type of the car you've got. Oh, there's the bracket, so that's the one I was talking about. So that's in the right hand corner, so I'm going to put that in the right hand corner here, so I remember. And then this one is the left, so I'm going to put that left, so that's the right, that's the left. I'm holding the weight of this. This one doesn't have one. Alright, let's see. And there is a little bracket here which I need to remove. There it is. Just catches on that little bit there. Let's move that aside. Okay. And now you're still going to have quite a bit in there because the sump plug is higher up. It's got a little collar on it. Ah, look at that. Looks brand spanking new in there. Beautiful. So if you were going to go for doing the full gearbox change oil service, there's a torque converter. It's further up. And you'll probably find there's a good 3 litres of oil still in that there. Now I'm just going to remove this is the filter. There's also an electrical plug which I need to get to, which is here, and I'm going to undo that in a second for you. So I'm just going to let this drip just a little bit more. Don't be tempted to wipe it with a rag here because you just don't know what's on your rag. I'd just leave it to drip. Keep your little sump guard or your oil drip tray underneath it. And anyway, I'm going to have a close inspection now of the condition of the sump guard. It certainly smells alright, doesn't smell burnt. Right, get the cloth. Oh. There it is there. Just going to pour the rest of the oil in this little drip tray. Certainly the rubber feels a bit harder on the gasket, but I've got a new one to replace on that. So I want to make sure that I check all the oil and the quantity of the oil in here, because I've got to put roughly the same amount back, but there will be a little bit more because, as I said, it's going to have used a fair bit over its lifespan of 20 years or so. So there's the gasket. Doesn't look too bad at all, really. Got a new one to put on that. And just here, this here is the magnet, and it collects any filings of metal that have maybe come off the gearbox. But I'll tell you what, there's nothing untoward there. It does look pretty good. Right, I'm going to get this on the bench. You can see the condition of it ain't the best. I'm going to give it a little clean, I think. So this is why there's a fair amount of oil that's left in it, because it's slightly raised there. Yeah, there is a little bit of sludge at the bottom, so I'm going to give this a nice clean out. Make sure I leave no contaminants in there. Oh, there's the magnet there. So you can take it out to really make sure you clean it. That's really good. I like the way it just sits on the base, but yeah, certainly there isn't really much in the way of any particles on that. It's really quite clean. Going to put it down on the cloth because I don't want to pick up anything off my bench. That's pretty good in there, pretty good. Another clean cloth. Look at that, you can eat your dinner off that. Make a great lasagna tray, that would. By the way, a big shout out to somebody that emailed me, one of my lovely subscribers, Mr. Singh. He's a doctor in America. And he says that his neighbour and him use my videos to help maintain their Mercedes over in America. And his neighbour said he likes my accent. I didn't even think I had an accent. I guess I do. It's a very neutral British accent, that's for sure. Right, there you go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the cloth here, and I want to just give this a nice little clean on the outside as well. As you can see, it doesn't look too pretty. You can actually buy new oil pans, but I wanted to get it done this weekend and it wasn't going to arrive until next week. So apart from the fact that there's a little bit of cosmetic rust on there, you can see the important bit on the inside, it's all right. So I'm not going to bother, I'm just going to give it a nice clean and a bit of a paint. And actually the reason why there's a bit of surface rust on there is because that undershield that I talked about, it holds water unless you drill a couple of holes to let the water out. So that's the two things I was saying. It lets the water out, it stops the under tray sort of sitting with moisture right directly below it. And B, if there is any oil leaks, it's going to run through those holes and you'll see it. So you know to do something about your gearbox. Just got some matte black spray paint here. You could actually spray it with underguard, under sealant. Better than it was, better than it was. So make sure you put the magnet back on. Just sits there, just like that. Clean on the inside, painted on the outside. Let's get it on, as Marvin Gaye said. There she is, all done. So, all ready to go back on again. This is my new seal. It's a part of a Febi kit. The information's down below. This is the Febi kit. It comes with the oil filter. It also comes with the seals for the oil filter, and there's a little electrical connection which has 2 O-rings in there as well. That's all part of that kit. This is the old one. To be fair, it's still a pretty good nick. When I look inside this, what I've drained here, I can see that there's only just about just under 2 litres of oil. When I look into the oil pan there, I can actually see there's only just about 2 litres of oil that I've drained. So I'm going to be topping up probably about 3 litres, because it's going to be at least an oil, it's got to be at least about 1 litre short there. So let's get this oil filter off first. Now it's just pulled straight down. Make sure you've got your oil pan underneath. That's probably another 1/4 of a litre at least. And the O-rings are just here on the end. Now these come on the new kit from Febi. Okay, so I'm going to leave that just on there. Why not? And then I want to get to this plug, this electrical plug now, which is just here. So this now, I believe, just twists. I haven't done this before, by the way. I'm just making it up as I go along, but I think you twist that down. And there shouldn't be any oil that comes out of this. If there is, then it's time to change the seal. So let's have a look. Not bad, not bad. Looks pretty dry, looks good. Yeah, maybe there is a little bit of oil leaking. So So actually I think I just caught that just in time. So just inside there you can see those pins, and that's, you've got to make sure you align that properly. Okay. Right, so here's my new one. You can see that I need to take the whole of that body out, and then the plug is going to fit in there, and I then tighten it up. To be a little nut I just need to undo. I think it's a 7mm. Yeah, I think it's a 7mm. Yeah, 7mm. Well, it's certainly really stuck in there, and I don't know, I mean that's a good thing I guess, because the seals are doing their job. There was a little bit of oil in there. You want to make sure that it's dry normally, but I'm going to use my pliers now. I don't particularly want to do this, but I don't have much choice. It should just pull out now. So looking at the old one here, I've just put it in. This one, if you look at it, there's like a little triangle. It sits about the 2 o'clock position. In there there's a little key around about where my finger is, and you need to make sure that you line it up with the correct one. It can only go one way, and you know you got it because all the pins come through. You can just about see them. And don't think you put it all the way in and everything's there. You have to kind of make sure that you can see the pins right the way through. The O-ring is seated correctly right up to the edge there. So I found that it was a two-hand job. You have to get right in there and push, and you'll feel it go in. A little bit of oil on the O-rings does help. So now let's tighten that little nut up. But only just tighten it and no more, because the O-rings are really kind of doing their job. There's not much in it. So I strongly recommend, do not over tighten this, just nip it up and no more. That'll do. Fine. Okay, now here's the plug. You can see there's a little bit of oil on there, so hopefully those new O-rings will do their job. I'm just going to give that a quick clean. The kit doesn't come with new O-rings for this particular connector, but then it's not really immersed in anything. It shouldn't have any oil in there, so it's probably good for life, which is why they don't give you that. There's no need to change it. And then if you just, and then once you got it home, you then just twist it to the 12 o'clock position. It'll pull that pin in, and it's done. Beautiful. I think that's probably the harder bit there. That's that done. Great. Right, let's get the oil filter in there. Febi, it's got a part number on it as well. This obviously comes with an oil ring on there. It simply pushes in. And here's the old one as a reference. There's a little tongue there. You want to make sure you get that in the right position. It just goes in this little groove just where my finger is. So if you put that in first, then you know where you are, and then just push it home. There, all done. Right, let's get the sump tray back on. Make sure your seal is all nicely put on there and it hasn't slipped off in any way. Good. Just check the mating face, make sure there's nothing untoward going on there. Certainly looks all nice to me. Good. Right, let's get this back on again. Let's get one screw in. Right, get my glasses so I can see what I'm doing. Now remember, these two screws at the back here, they had the little fixings that came off with it. Try not to get any grease on these 6 fixings that you put back in, because I'm going to set these to the manufacturing specification, which is 8 Newton meters, and when you've got a lubricated torque, it changes. So you want them to be dry as they were when they came out. Right, let's get those two back ones on. I think the little bracket there just happened to come off the ones at the rear. I think they all separate if you wanted them to. So this aluminium shield has the bracket attached to it for the one in the corner, and it just protects that plug that we've just taken off. And this little clip here, I can just clip onto the side, like so. There. Right. Let's torque it up. So as I said, the spec on the 6 bolts is 8 Newton meters. So I'm just going to adjust that accordingly. Okay, so that's 8 Newton meters. God, it's not very much, 8 Newton meters, but never mind. But that is the spec nevertheless. So what I'll do is I'll just go, so good engineering, I'm going to go corner to corner, just do it by hand first of all. Go corner to corner, do it in a star pattern. Do it by hand first of all, because 8 Newton meters is so little, and you want to make sure that you get a nice even tighten so that you don't squash the gasket, the little rubber gasket. Okay, so off by hand. Right, let's torque them up. So whenever I'm torquing something, especially when it's low like this, 8 Newton meters, don't go mad and go to the end of it. Get yourself nice and close to the fulcrum, that way you've got no leverage, and you don't overdo things. Right, let's do some clicks. Click 1. Click 2. No double clicks, just single clicks on each. There's a click. There we go. Right, that is all torqued to spec. Sump plug. That is 20 Newton meters. Set this to 20. Right, we have 20. We need to make sure we get that Allen key, that's the right size. Oh, sun's come out. Sun's come out and I'm under a car. I'm gonna have a beer after this, tell you that. Maybe if you subscribe, I might get enough money to buy a pack of beers. It all helps, by the way, and I thank you if you have subscribed. It makes it all worthwhile being under a car upside down covered in oil. Oh look, the light's flashing at me. That means it's low on battery, but luckily I'm nearly there. Okay, 20 Newton meters. Make sure you get it all the way in there home. There she goes. That's it. Done. Right. Put the rear bracket on there. A couple of these bolts, and that is it. That is it. Nothing else to do down here. We just need to get some oil in the top side. There wasn't really any torque for these bolts at the back here, but from my calibrated elbow I would say it's around about 25 Newton meters. Okay, right, just got this last little bracket that goes across here, which holds the under tray on basically. Right, I'm not going to bore you with putting the underguards back on, but that's all that needs to be done now, is the underguards back on, and then we can go and put some oil in it. Oh yeah, done. So I actually took out 2.5 litres or just under 3 quarts from the States. There's 2 litres there, yeah, so not as bad as I thought. There was quite a bit actually in the oil filter. You can see the condition of the oil isn't as bad as I thought, considering 183,000 miles, but you can see how well that filter's been working. Look at the colour in there of this little gauze here. It's soaked up all of the nasties. Let's get some oil in this bad boy. So not the red one, that's for your engine oil, and you'll find that there won't be a dipstick either, that's just a cover. But at the back here, just below, there's a black cover, and it's that one there which is for your transmission oil. And there you go, much better access now. This here is for your transmission. This here is for your engine oil. Don't get the two mixed up. You can then get a funnel, pop it into your transmission tube, and you can pour your transmission oil in there. So I said this before, a little tip, whatever you're pouring from a container like this, whether it's engine oil or transmission oil in this case, don't pour it in the obvious way with the spout down below. You want to get the spout up high, about 45 degrees, and it stops all the glug. Okay, so I took out about 2.5 litres when I drained the oil, and I've put back about 3 litres. There's a nice little indication on the side of the container there. And now we need to make sure the gearbox is up to the right temperature, which is 80 degrees C and above. I'm going to pop the cap back on just to make sure nothing drops into my gearbox. And now let's go and start the car, and I'll show you how to use a little diagnostic tool to find out the gearbox temperature. Okay, so okay, now what I'm going to use today is my mobile phone, because you'll get a nice clear screen recording, and I'm going to use my little X tool. I've done a full review, it's down below. It's the A30M, and it's so handy and neat and small. That's what I love about it. I haven't got to have a whole device. So I get my phone out, which has got the software on it, plug this into my OBD on my car, and that's all you need to do. Hear the beep. There it is. First of all, make sure there's no faults on my dash, because obviously we've disconnected the electrical plug as well, so fingers crossed that's all good in the hood. So let's have a look at that first. So here we go, let's start the car. All looks good. I've just got my handbrake light on, that's fine. Now importantly, what you need to do is make sure you work your way through the gears and spend about 5 or 10 seconds in each of those gears to get the oil to move around the solenoids and into the gearbox. So let's do that. So we're in park at the moment, into reverse. A few seconds. Let's go into neutral. Let's go into drive. Let's go back to neutral. Back to reverse, and we'll go back into park. You can do that a couple of times to get the oil to move around the gearbox. Now we've got to make sure that we've got the right temperature in the gearbox, as I mentioned. Right, engine is on. Let's have a look. So straight away, look, we've gone up to 18 degrees now, and that's going to keep rising obviously as things start to get warm. We've now got 19 degrees and we're going up quite nicely. The oil's cold, although we've been running it for a few minutes. We cycled the gears, but you'll see the temperature, how much it drops. I'm in park at the moment, but as I move into reverse, so obviously keep your foot on the brake, or your handbrake on as well, or your foot brake on as well. So let's go into reverse. Let the solenoids do their thing in the gearbox. All that lovely new oil running around. You can see how much that temperature drops. Let's go into neutral. Let's go into drive. Right, let's go for a drive. Well, she's moving. I'm looking out the mirror. I don't see an oil slick behind me. That's a good sign, isn't it? Oh, Now I don't know if this is a placebo effect. Well, normally, as you guys would know, especially Mercedes, I've had about half a dozen of Mercedes. When the car is cold, when the engine is cold, the gear changes are longer, and Mercedes do that simply to get the engine warmed up and get things up to speed, including the gearbox. And you'll probably find initially on a cold day, when you first get in the car and drive it, you think, oh, it's not changing gear, and when it does, it can be a little bit more obvious, a bit more of a sort of a movement into that gear compared to when it's at normal operating temperature. And that gear change there was definitely sweeter. And I'm thinking, is this a placebo effect? But actually I don't think it is. So let me drive for a little while and see what I think. So welcome back. I'll be driving now for about 15 minutes, and I can safely say everything is good. And what I first thought was a placebo effect in a more of a silky smooth gear change, definitely without a doubt my gear changes now, I can hear them changing gear, but I don't feel them quite as much. Now I'm not saying I had a rough gear change before. As I said, the gearbox in this car has been sweet. It's the AMG Speed Shift gearbox, never had any issues in what, 183,000 miles, which I've done probably about 100 and maybe 100,000 of those miles. But what I've noticed is when it's now changing gear, it's like butter. It moves between the gears and you can hear it, you just don't feel it as much. It's very, very soft. And I'm finding the gear changes, whether I'm accelerating or as I'm decreasing in speed, and it naturally changes down for you as well. The gear changes, all I can say is, they're like butter. I basically got butter for a gearbox. You just do not notice them. On the downshift, as you're slowing down, it's faultless. And as I accelerate now, it's just a gentle waft. It's wafting along. So I've taken the car for a drive now. The transmission oil is lovely and warm. And you'll see now, if I look at the temperature, we're sitting at 96 degrees. But you watch, if I put this into drive now, you'll notice that the temperature doesn't really drop down much, and that's just because the oil's all circulated, it's all gone around solenoids, all down torque converter, and you've got that maintained temperature. It doesn't drop so much. So now I've taken it for a drive. I got to nice operating temperature. The gearbox, if you look at the screen there on the graph, even whether I go into reverse or drive now, the temperature's all nice and warm, and it's actually pretty much staying the same. But initially, when the gearbox was cold, there's a significant difference between drive and reverse, as opposed to park and neutral, and that's why you need to make sure you select either drive or reverse. So I've driven the car around for a little bit. Now let's make sure we test the gearbox level, and I've got one of these little aftermarket dipsticks which I keep here, because the car doesn't come with a dipstick, and if I need to pop any more oil in, then I can, and I'm going to use this to tell me. Now it doesn't go all the way to the bottom, to the end there, it only goes in as far as you can push it. Once you hit the bottom, that's it, and then pull it out. And here you go, you can see that I'm just at the bottom of the line of the 80, the top part there, where my finger is, that is where the 80-degree band is, and that's what we want to aim to. So I've nearly got enough in. I'm going to put literally about another 300 mils in, and that'll be absolutely perfect. So these little dipsticks are great. As I said, they don't come with the car, you have to kind of get them. There's an aftermarket link below for one of these, and I think we're there. So there you go. If you have doubts in changing your gearbox oil on a Mercedes SL, hopefully this video is going to give you a little bit of encouragement. I did it in the street, under my car, no real special tools, just a standard socket set, and now the result, well, it speaks for itself. It's just gorgeous. As I said, I got butter for a gearbox. If this is your sort of thing, have a look at a playlist at the end. It's all about Mercedes, and there's a whole load of Mercedes SL videos which I've done, and the recent video I've done on this is actually for a oil service for this very same car, and again I did it in the street, so have a look at that. Thanks again for getting to the end of the video. I'll see you on YouTube. Thanks for watching.